What is going on, Ravens Flock? And welcome back here again to another episode of the Ravens Way podcast. Joining me, as always, is Voss. Voss, how are we doing on this wonderful uh, Thursday night?
Feeling good. Feeling really good. The Ravens punched their ticket to the conference championship game for the first time in 11 years. And it's a big game. They're playing a team they've been chasing since Lamar was drafted. So excited for this weekend, being able to host the conference championship game for the first time in team history, first time in my lifetime. Yeah, just excited. It's the culmination of years and years of strategy and building and development, and they're on that precipice now. So I hope they seize the opportunity. But before we look forward, why don't we look back at that divisional round win over the Houston Texans, Yuri? Um, you know, Mostly good. Not a whole lot to nitpick there, but let's start with the offensive side of the ball. Any thoughts? Any players you want to tip the cap to, etc.?
Yeah, I thought the offense eventually did put it together. And a big catalyst of that was Lamar Jackson running the football a lot and getting those easy scramble gains. I thought that was huge add to the Ravens offense and how they can move the football down the field. Something that they kind of like held in the bag a little bit with the design quarterback runs because a few of them were designed. But overall, I think the offense had its slow start, but then picked it up. And a few people that I thought played well. Rashad Bateman, certainly someone that we've highlighted a bunch of times on who could be a potential playoff breakout candidate and kind of be an impact contributor. And he was. He made some pretty good catches. Made the catch across the middle, a few others, and he really is starting to come on a little bit. And then you have Isaiah Likely making that back shoulder kind of throwing it's like throwing kind of like how Mark and Lamar do it. Like he kind of signaled
Yeah,
Lamar a little bit, and Lamar gave him a shot, and he made a play. Nelson Aguilar as well, another touchdown for him. Someone that we've highlighted a couple times, and someone that
sure.
I personally thought would be the Jacoby Jones, so to say, of this playoff run. Someone that may not get all the praise, but the biggest highlight to me is Ronnie Stanley being able
Yes, sir.
to set the anchor again. I think that was something that I was curious about. You have Will Anderson, Barnett, a couple other guys in that Texans defensive line. They were talented players, and it seems like Ronnie Stanley
Grenard.
can also seems like Ronnie Stanley can bend around the knee, and yeah, I feel good about it.
Yeah, I'll echo that. By far, Ronnie's best game of the season. It was a tough pass rush, and he didn't allow a single pressure all game. I thought Justice Hill stepped up with 66 rushing yards to lead the team. He's becoming, not doesn't have the burst of Keaton Mitchell. Probably doesn't have the contact balance of J.K. Dobbins, but he's, doing his 80-20 impersonation of those real factor backs. Definitely agree with you on the Isaiah Likely touchdown. Really just a great play, great hands, go up and secure the ball like that. Lamar, I thought, really played with good poise, better poise than he has in previous playoff games. He scrambled when he needed to, and that was really the bulk of the offense in the first half when they were just sending blitz after blitz after blitz. I thought he decoded the blitz well. They made those halftime adjustments with Monken to get the ball out quicker, and it really paid off. No turnovers, which I thought was huge. So yeah, 4-0 TD to turnover ratio is great, and considering his previous games where he had more turnovers than scores in the postseason, great turnaround. Also, quick tip of the cap to Justin Tucker. Windy game, nailing that 53-yarder, the longest in Ravens playoff history. I think they really needed that just to kind of calm the nerves, put the ghosts of previous, 2019, et cetera, and just kind of settle everybody down. So, it wasn't a amazing, 600-yard offensive performance, but it was, very good against a tough team, a tough group of pass rushers and a pretty tough run defense. 100 yards on the ground for Lamar was really the key that unlocked everything.
Yeah, it was. Texans coming into the game. Someone we highlighted the Texans were the number 2 run defense in the NFL, allowing 3.5 yards a carry, and then the Ravens kind of went out there and had their way with them a little bit, and kind of willed their way to victory with leaning on the run and taking the short kind of almost extension of the run plays in the past. So very impressive from the offense there.
Absolutely. Defense, speaking of the run game, this is something that we definitely predicted, that the Ravens could stop the run when they needed to, and they really did. 2.7 yards per carry for the Texans. A lot of the national pundits thought that they could run on the Ravens, and they couldn't. Roquan had a good game against the run, couple tackle for loss. I thought Jadeveon Clowney really set the tone on the first drive or two, crashing down hard, getting in the backfield, making plays. Another play that we kind of predicted. Defensive line, I thought, was absolutely dominant. Matabike, Travis Jones, and Michael Pierce combined for 11 total pressures from their down linemen. That's a high number. They didn't get Stroud on the ground, but they definitely impacted him a lot with the pass rush. And I thought the secondary did pretty well without Marlowe too. In particular, Darby and Mollett both had good games. Not Stevens' best game. Might be something to monitor down the last game or two. But overall, the defense allowed 3 points. Didn't even let them get into the red zone once against a hot Texans offense that had just put it on the Browns, who were right up there with the Ravens as the best defense. It was a very impressive defensive performance. I think the defense was even more impressive than the offense in this game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I thought the defense certainly did their job. They allowed 3 points total, to your point. And it kind of felt like coming into this game that if they wanted to stop the run, they could. If they wanted to put the big boys in the field, they could probably stop the run. And to your point, the interior defensive line, everyone who lines up from the 4th tech inside, really played a really good game. Matabike had 7 pressures. Just an outstanding performance from everybody all around on the defensive front. Yeah.
Even Brody. I forgot to mention Brody. His best game of the year by far, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So defensive line played pretty well. And then it kind of went with I think someone said it in one of the pressures this week, the tandem of the defensive line playing well along with the secondary and having it feed off each other. The secondary really didn't let up anything too super explosive in terms of like a long touchdown or anything. They just kind of did their job, kept everything underneath, and they really did erase the middle of the field. I thought that was something that the Ravens game plan pretty well, was attack. Not letting those wide zone Shanahan offenses take the middle of the field like they try to do. Instead, they said, let's go to the outside of the numbers and let's force you to beat us down the numbers. And not to take away from C.J. Stroud, but Mike McDonald just put together such an intricate game plan, and they didn't have it. They didn't have it that day. They didn't have it in week 1, which is something I was kind of alluding to in the last pod. I'm like, is this really such a different Texans team from week 1? I mean, I know they're down 2 wide receivers, but it just felt like the Ravens kind of had their number in this one in terms of defensively, and I think they had 27 pressures total, if I'm not mistaken. So the Ravens, I mean, they really did. The sack numbers didn't come, but C.J. Stroud really was outside of the pocket for most of the game, and I thought that was a really good way to kind of mess up their game plan.
Absolutely. I thought the coordinators were great. This is a juggernaut of a team, so they took care of what they needed to do, and now they have their biggest test of the season, I would say, heading to this conference championship game against Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Chiefs. Mahomes' 6th straight conference championship game. That's unbelievable. And I think this is going to be a pretty tough game. But let's go, I guess, phase by phase, or however you'd like to, starting with the offense, and give a preview of this heavyweight showdown.
Yeah, so starting with the offense, I'll start with the pass offense. It's tough. The Chiefs have really athletic linebackers, and the way to kind of get those guys moving a little bit is with some play action and getting those linebackers out of their assignment a little bit. and dislodging them just a tiny bit. Um, but the Chiefs do have good corners. L'Jarius Sneed is playing very, very well this year. Trent McDuffie, all pro slot corner. And, I like Justin Reed a lot when he was with the Texans. I like him a lot now. And I saw that one of their safeties was injured. But besides that, this isn't a Kansas City defense of old. This is definitely a very well-rounded Kansas City defense from the front to the back. They have Chris Jones, obviously. They have Karlaftis. And it's certainly going to be a test for the offense to probably go out here against another top 5 defense and go out there and perform. And I think the way that the offense is probably going to do that is probably kind of the Chiefs, and I have to mix both phases here. The Chiefs' run defense is more towards the middle of the league. Their pass defense is top 10, top 5, top 7. However, they have a very good pass defense. Um, but in terms of run defense, they're allowing 4.5 yards a carry, which is somewhere kind of slightly
27th.
below. Yes, yes.
27th
So
develop run defense. So
yeah,
yeah, it's
so
near the bottom.
I think that the way that the Ravens attack this defense is probably getting the run going, getting Lamar going again, getting Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, getting those guys going, and then probably setting up play action off of that. Excuse me, and taking shots downfield because Kansas City is one of the top 5 teams in terms of press coverage of their outside
Mhm.
corners, and they run a lot of cover 1 and cover 3, and they want you. They almost dare you to throw the football down the field, and I think this is one of those games where the Ravens have to kind of push the ball downfield. Don't play conservative, and probably take your shots, take your chances, take your 4th downs if it's close, and score some points
Mhm.
because I mean that's the one of the ways to beat Mahomes. You got to score points.
That's the only way to beat Mahomes, really. I looked at it a couple years ago. The average games that he actually loses, you had to. I think it's just 2 years old, maybe data, but he had to score 34 points was the average number of points to beat him any game, regular season and postseason over the first, I guess, 5 years of his career. Kansas City's defense is good, very good. Probably the best defense remaining besides the Ravens. The Ravens were number 1 points allowed. Chiefs are number 2. They allowed the fewest yards to wide receivers out of any team in the NFL. L'Jarius Sneed playing at a very high level. Trent McDuffie, the other corner, made the All-Pro team as a slot man. Outside two, just lockdown guys. Chris Jones, he's a monster. Their entire pass rush is kind of predicated around him and freeing him up for opportunities. He's going to test Linderbaum. He's going to test. He's
How we
going
doing,
to
Brian?
test Zeitler. He's going to test Simpson, and I think they might really try to target Simpson. Simpson had kind of a rough game last week. 7th highest blitz rate in the league. Spagnuolo is known for blitzing pretty heavily. What I do think the Ravens can make some hay is on the ground. As I mentioned, 27th best run DVOA. They're 5th worst at defending the quarterback run, whether that be a scramble or a design run. And Josh Allen, what do you have? 2 touchdowns and about 70 yards last week. So
Yeah.
I expect Lamar we're now at the point of the year where Lamar's not trying to preserve himself for later on. Now's the time to, go for it. Scramble, run. So I do think it's going to be a Lamar heavy run game. And I think Isaiah Likely has a good chance to be a leading receiver. I think this should be an Isaiah Likely game, even with Mark Andrews probably coming back.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a really good game to set up play action over the middle of the field with some tight ends and establish from the run. So, kind of flipping the other side of the ball here, Voss. Unless you have any more thoughts on the Ravens offense.
No, I mean, we'll circle back to it when we get to predictions, but I think that's kind of scouting report wise. That's what I'm keen on.
Definitely, yeah. So the big question kind of going into this game is how do you limit Mahomes? How do you limit the offense? How do you present defensive schematics in terms of how to confuse them? And kind of starting with the run defense, and Pacheco certainly playing at a very high level right now. He's been playing at a high level pretty much all year. Very downhill physical runner, And this is, in my opinion, if Thuney's out, I think this is a really big game for Madubuike and Travis Jones and Pierce and Urban to really make their physical presence stated in this game, and even Broderick Washington as well, to kind of go out there and establish the line of scrimmage. I think that's really going to be important in this game. Um, because this sounds bad, but I'm comfortable with the Chiefs throwing the football more than I am with them trying to running the football down our throats, which they've kind of been doing to teams. So I think this is a really important game um, in terms of establishing the line of scrimmage, and I think this really is kind of a Travis Jones game. I've been feeling it. He's the according to PFF, he's the best run defender left in the playoffs currently, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah, to that point, Joe Thuney, their Pro Bowl All-Pro guard, is questionable / doubtful. So I think even if he plays, if he's a torn labrum or a strained pec or whatever it is, he's going to be limited. And their offensive tackles have been a major weakness this year. They have been, I would say, considerable downgrade from what they had last year with Zeus Jr. They're running the Donovan Smith out on the left side, who has been better since he came back from injury the last couple of weeks. They had rookie Wande Morris starting on the left side. Jawan Taylor was their big money acquisition in the offseason. They're paying him about $20 million to play right tackle, and he could be beat, and they can get him with some penalties. He lines up kind of far behind the line sometimes. So I think, we know McDonald's not going to heat up Mahomes with 5, 6, 7 man, especially 6. They'll probably do a couple 5-man pressures, but most is going to be disguised, and somebody's going to be dropping, and somebody else is going to be coming. Oftentimes, that's Patrick Queen through the A or B gap or the slot blitz. This is where I think KC has had their problem, has been drops. 39 drops on the season, worst in the NFL. Mahomes hasn't been what he's been. He hasn't been, supernova Mahomes this season, but he hasn't been bad by any means. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. So I think they have some advantageous matchups. Kyle Hamilton's the perfect guy to match Kelsey. I hope they get Marlon Humphrey back because he would really be helpful against Rashee Rice, as well as just containing their screen game, because that's really how KC moves the ball, is a lot of screens and a lot of explosive runs from Isaiah Pacheco. So this is one of those games where, Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, they're under the microscope as far as stopping the run, defending the screens, defending the intermediate the short zones. Mahomes has been better passing into zone than man this year. And McDonald is, I think, he's in the top 5, I believe, as far as most zone defense this year. So that might be a little wrinkle that he can throw in, because if Marlowe is healthy, they do have the DBs, the corners, to play a little bit more man and maybe get them off their game. But it's just going to be a chess match between Reed and Mahomes and McDonald and Roquan and Kyle Hamilton. It should be really good. I think it's going to be, good on good, best on best, iron sharpens iron. Who's going to make the Super Bowl?
Yeah, and I do like the matchup of Stevens versus Rice. I think I really do trust Stevens to guard a receiver like that. In terms of physicality, in terms of route running, I think Rice is probably not the greatest route runner, and I think Stevens can go out there and physically impose his will a little bit. I agree with you. Kyle Hamilton versus Travis Kelce is going to be really fun. 2 generational football players, in my opinion, and if you quote unquote eliminate those 2, you have MVS, you have Sky Moore, who I don't know if you practiced today or not. You have MVS, Sky Moore, Jalen Watson.
Sky Moore is still on IR DTR, and he hasn't been activated off of that. So I don't think he's going to play. But
I saw his name somewhere in injury report. So
yeah, he didn't practice yesterday. I didn't see if he practiced today, but I think he's better than Mecole Hardman. So him being out benefits. Although I like Mecole, he's just too mistake prone.
Yeah, definitely. So you have Darby versus MVS. That I think that's a really important matchup in this game, because MVS had 2 catches over 30 yards last week. and we'll see. We'll see what happens with those. But I feel like the Ravens have an advantage there, kind of all over the field defensively. I think they match up well. I think they can stop Pacheco. I think they can eliminate the top two threats. It's just about bringing Mahomes down and not letting him get out of the pocket and create and continue to create and let wide receivers go off script, and then kind of to the 2021 game where we played the Mahomes and started getting out of the pocket and making plays and throwing the football downfield, and
Yeah.
receivers are getting behind the safety. I think the Ravens safeties need to be very disciplined in this football game.
To that point, I think this is a Marcus Williams game. I think this is the exact matchup that he was signed for. Probably Kyle Hamilton was probably drafted specifically to match up with this team as well. Probably Zay Flowers too. But anyway, Marcus Williams, I've been predicting a heavy impactful game from him. For what it's worth, he didn't give up a single reception in his coverage last week. Neither did Kent Hamilton. I think they have the personnel. They've walked into a lot of these Kansas City matchups before where they were outgunned and outmatched, I think. And they just didn't have as much talent as the opposition, enough talent in the right places, enough difference makers. And now I think they probably have more than the Chiefs, the way that this roster's ebb and flow has gone.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So let's get into some predictions. Ravens are currently favored by 4. They were favored by 3.5, and then it jumped up to 4 earlier today. The total is 44.5. So Vegas is expecting a little bit lower scoring game. By comparison, the NFC is 51.5 for the NFC Championship game. What's your synopsis and predict?
So I said last week before, if we played the Bills right now and this situation was the Bills, I would probably take us by multiple scores again, like I did last week. I don't think the Bills could have matched up with us at all. But this, I think this is going to be a lot closer of a game. I think this is certainly going to be the most entertaining game out of the both championship games this weekend. It took me a while to digest this one. As soon as I saw that, I said the Chiefs were going to win. They won. So as soon as it went final, and I'm like, it took me a while to digest it. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, it's Mahomes. You can't just brush off Mahomes, even though the wide receivers suck. He still is going to create. But at the end of the day, the Ravens are the more talented team. They have the better offensive skill weapons. They have the better defensive backs to match up with them, and they quite frankly they have the better offensive line and defensive line. They win in the trenches, and that's important in these playoff football games. And they have Lamar Jackson as a runner, and that's another plus. So I'm gonna go with the Ravens 26. The Chiefs 23. That's going to be my prediction. I think that the Ravens pull this one out. Even though this roster is probably significantly more talented in terms of top to bottom, the Kansas City Mahomes is just such a difference maker that I just can't go out there and give the Ravens a 7 to 10 point victory over them. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think this game could go one of 3 ways: a comfortable Baltimore win, a tight Baltimore win, or a tight KC win. I don't think KC's blowing out the Ravens under really any circumstance. I think they're pretty evenly matched just because Mahomes, props them up. Good offensive line against pretty good offensive line. And then, I won't sell their defense short. I think their defense has really been impressive this year. So I really do think it's going to come down to the quarterbacks. And not to mention coaching staffs are both really good on both sides too. So quarterback turnovers and quarterbacks making magic on broken plays. They both can do that. So this season, according to PFF, Lamar has a better passer rating under pressure than Mahomes. He has a higher big-time throw rate and a lower turnover-worthy throw rate. So all 3 of those signs point to the Ravens. I think Lamar's playing better than Mahomes at this point. I think the Ravens have a superior defense because they couple the run D with the pass D. They have home field advantage. They have Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and John Ogden and Suggs and legends of the game. And they have Lamar's draft night promise and the destiny that he wants to build for himself. And I think the time is now to knock off the Chiefs. This is why Eric DaCosta went out and said, we're not going to rely on the development of our outside of David Ojabo. We're going to go get Clowney. We're not going to rely on the development of Jalen Arbor Davis. We're going to go get Darby. We're going to go get Beckham because we're not sure what Devin Duvernay and Tylen Wallace have. We're going to get Aguilar. They built a complete team because you didn't want to play Mahomes with any weakness. You want to be on level field or better, I think, everywhere. And I think the Ravens have accomplished that. So my score prediction, Ravens 24, Chiefs 20. Exactly a push on the spread, and I have a point off the total. So take the under there. But I feel good. I'm not super confident. I'm not flying high. You got to be apprehensive of playing Mahomes and Reed. And they're 3-1 against Lamar. But I think the time is now. I think the time, Bill said, the time is now to go chase the Super Bowl. And the time is now for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of props, I have Odell Beckham anytime touchdown and Odell Beckham over 22.5 receiving yards. I feel like this is the big leverage moment that we need him in. I like Mark Andrews anytime touchdown coming back. He's like plus 390 right now. Those are pretty good odds. Anywhere from plus 390 to plus 270 is what I've seen on a couple of sports books. So I like that. And I like Lamar Jackson anytime touchdown. They'll run another one in there this week. I think that's this game could go sideways because it is going to rain and that could affect some things. And this may turn into another one of the we had it this year, the Ravens game, where this kind of the teams will say, hey, you know what, we're not going to put the ball on the ground and have the rain kind of make the ball slippery. We're just going to keep throwing it downfield and not have that chance happen. So that could happen. But I do think this game probably comes down to it probably could come down to Justin Tucker versus Harrison Butker in the kicking game. It could come down to how many times can the quarterbacks make plays with their legs and extend plays and get the ball downfield. But yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good for Ravens victory. To your point, the time's now. It's the first championship game in Baltimore history held at home, and I mean that whole stadium should be behind this team. So the time is now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as far as props, well, first of all, I'm 8-10 against the spread this postseason, so on a pretty good roll there. But as far as props, I think Lamar's going to put the cape on. 2 rushing touchdowns or 2 touchdowns that he crosses the goal line, I should say. If you parlay that with Isaiah Pacheco over 18 receiving yards, which I think is probably pretty probable. Justice Hill over 13 receiving yards. Lamar Jackson over 64 rushing yards. And the Baltimore money line, that's plus 4,300. So you can really juice that up. And I would have added Isaiah Likely over receiving yards too, but they took that down once Andrews was rumored to play. If you could find that, I still like that. If that's in a reasonable number, I think it's probably going to be devalued, and there should be some value betting that. So yeah, I mean, I think this is Lamar legacy defining, career defining game, and I feel confident he's going to get it done.
I would agree.
Yeah, so let's go. Let's transition to the other game now. Around the league, I guess we can go a little bit deeper in this since there's only one. Detroit is catching 7.5 at San Fran. The total's 51.5.
Yeah, I think, and I've been going back and forth with some DMs with some people about this game, and like this, does Detroit have the pieces to take away the middle of the field? They have invested, they have invested a couple pieces there, a couple picks, but Debo Samuel might be out for this game. I think this is a massive, massive Ayuk game.
Yeah,
I've already put him in a lot of tickets for this weekend. Two touchdown score over his 80 receiving yards. We'll see with Purdy if he can get the ball downfield, and the offensive line shouldn't have a hard time protecting against that Lions front. The Lions only have one good edge rusher, obviously, and then they have Lee McNeil and then a couple other pieces inside. So overall, I don't know. The 49ers just they have so many top end guys that are so talented, and the I think it's going to come down to the San Fran defense versus the Lions offense, because the Lions offense is pretty good. They have a good offensive line. I think they can
yeah,
match up very well against the Niners front. But you have another quarterback who wants to go over the middle of the field, and you have two really athletic linebackers in Warner and Greenlaw, and then you have those two guys. You have Laporta. You have Amon or St. Brown, who's two guys that the two probably most important pieces of that offense, like work in the middle. You have Gibbs, who can come out the backfield. But I don't see a way. I don't see a way where the Lions win this game. And I guess for the last time until we face them again, I'm gonna go ahead and fade them. I'm probably gonna take the Lions. I mean the 49ers. I know they're already right now -7 or -7.5.
yeah.
I'm gonna juice that one all the way up to -18.5. And
Wow.
I just think that at the end of the day, unless Purdy wets the bed and goes out there and I guess one playmaker down, he just looks terrible. But um, I don't see a way where the Lions can Dan Campbell magic their way to a victory in a hostile environment. Not at home, not in the dome. Golf is a little bit of a dome merchant sometimes. So um, I
Yeah,
think that golf probably shows its colors a little bit, and and the 49ers kind of just dominate, do have their way. McCaffrey, I don't know if you can parlay. Um, McCaffrey 2 touchdowns with Ayuk 2 touchdowns. I think that might be a worthy. So just throw a few dollars on it, not too much.
I share. I have mixed. I agree with you on some points and disagree on others. I think this game's going to be high scoring. I think San Fran's defense is a little bit overrated. I agree that the Lions O line can keep their pass rush at bay, and they have the trouble setting the edge sometimes. So I do think Montgomery and Gibbs probably can make some hay. Um, and San Fran's DBs outside of Ward are not great either. So, I could see Josh Reynolds getting loose on a deep crosser for 50 yards or something like that. On the other side, I do think if Debo doesn't play, that's a big loss for Purdy, because he is kind of the one that brings that versatility. But they don't have anybody that can cover Ayuk, and I'm expecting a smash game from Ayuk. I'm expecting a big game from Kittle. Brian Branch and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, pretty good slot guys, but they can't match up with Kittle, I don't think. So, as I said, I'm taking the over. I'm taking the San Fran money line because I just don't trust the Lions defense enough. But I am going to take the Lions against the spread. I think they'll keep it within 7, probably. As far as a parlay, I like George Kittle touchdown, Ayuk, and I actually went alternate line over 90. That's how confident I am to get it to plus money for Ayuk for receiving yards. I like Jahmyr Gibbs over 22 receiving yards. Laporta's going to have a tough matchup with Warner, but I think Gibbs should find some room. And actually going with Purdy over 278 because the Lions do have a pretty stout run D, and I think they're going to probably be forced to pass. If it's a high-scoring game, the Lions put some points up in the first half. So, and if you parlay that with Detroit plus 7.5 and over 51, you get the odds up to plus 2,200. Obviously, you can play any of those individually or combine them or both, but that's kind of where I'm leaning on this NFC game. I don't think any of these NFC teams are really I don't know. I think the Chiefs or the Ravens are better than the other two, personally.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. Quarterbacks kind of alleviate all, and you have two quarterbacks on the other side that are kind of more the middle of the pack, and you have two quarterbacks on the side that are top five. So
Yeah. Yeah. So what else you got, bro? What else we're going to break down? You want to talk about the referee choice?
I don't care about that. I don't care. Let's play ball. I'm ready for Sunday. It's gonna rain, whatever. It would be nice to kind of have no rain, just because I feel like when there's no rain, the voices kind of like the rain isn't like reflecting the voices back a little bit. You're allowed to be loud, like the stadium feels louder with like, the clear air, you know.
I don't
So
know, man. I was at that Rams game. I took my kids to the Rams game, and it was rain. It's probably pretty similar forecast to what we're going to see on Sunday, and it was loud AF. It really was. It was the loudest game that I've been to in a while. A lot of people that go to every game told me that was the loudest one they went to this year before last week.
I just want my ears to ring. That's all I want. I want my ears to ring. They didn't ring last week. I yelled. I yelled from quarter one to quarter four. Uh, I was down in the lower bowl, so it wasn't like I was up top, and my ears weren't ringing. I didn't get that satisfaction of going home like I did in the Chargers, or not the Chargers. There was one game. There was some game way back there that I went to, and my ears were just like I felt like I needed to like put hydrogen peroxide down them and like clear them out. So, um,
I don't
yeah.
think I've ever had my ears ring at the stadium, but I definitely lost my voice for days at a time after going.
No, the ear ringing is fun, man. I really hope that rain blows over and I can just yell and hear nothing but Crispy yelling and not the rain drop into the seat that's next to me.
Player of the game prediction on each side of the ball, maybe. We'll wrap with that.
Yeah. Offensively, I'm going Justice Hill. Justice Hill. If the Chiefs' run defense is bad, we've highlighted that. I think he can probably work out of the backfield because all the focus is going to be on Likely and Andrews. So I think he can make a game. He can certainly. I could see him scoring a touchdown. Maybe even two. So that, and then defensive side of the ball, player of the game. Man, it's tough because there's a couple candidates I'm popping in my brain, but I'm gonna go with the old reliable, the old reliable of Dafe Owe,
Okay.
against the Chiefs. He made a play last time we faced them, and and probably another important key factor of beating the Chiefs is getting a turnover. Don't let them playing a little sloppy offense, and that's how they kind of start spiraling. So if Odafe Owe can get back there and just rip one out and take Mahomes and throw him into the stands, I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's a good call with Owe. He had a couple really nice. He beat Tunsil a couple times last week. Low snap count, but high impact on the snaps he did play. On the offensive side of the ball, I'm tempted to go Zay Flowers because he just is a tough cover for anybody, even for all pro corners. But I will shy away from that, and I will stick with Isaiah Likely. He's just been on such a heater lately. 6 touchdowns the last 7 games. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you could say Matabike. Mahomes almost has a Lamar type, just being able to evade pressure. But he's not ripping it off for a 50-yard play after, but he's avoiding negative plays at least. I'm going to go with Marcus Williams. I think Marcus Williams is going to snatch a pick, maybe jump across her or get a tip ball that maybe Hamilton or Roquan pops up in the air. I'll go with Marcus Williams. So let's go Likely. Let's go Williams. Let's go everybody.
Everybody has to. This kind of is maybe not our Super Bowl because I do think the Raven, whoever wins this one probably wins the next one. But this is probably the most important game the Ravens have played in nearly a decade, and maybe even a decade plus. Who knows? But
It's a proof of concept game, right?
yeah,
They had the concept that we're going to zigzag and build this Greg Roman scheme and shock the world with the diverse running attack, shock the league, and we're going to couple that with Wink Martindale, 40% blitz rate, cover corners, and whatever else. then they flipped and they said, you know what? We want to go to this Mike McDonald zone-based, disguised coverages, deceptive pressure. And the offensive side of the ball is where they really made the big pivot. And they said, you know what? We're not going to get it done with the Greg Roman one-dimensional style scheme. We're gonna empower Lamar to go make some plays in the passing game, and they've done that. And this is the final test. Obviously, the Super Bowl would be the final test, but this is the team they've really been chasing. This is the team that everybody's been chasing, 6 in a row. To be the best, you got to beat the best, and now's the time.
Definitely agree with that. Looking forward to this weekend. Obviously, enjoy yourself leading up to the game because this does not come around very often. This is obviously the first time we've already highlighted. First AFC Championship held in Baltimore. There will be tons of people there, tons of legends of the game. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Dennis Pitta, all Shaq. Shaq will be there DJing. So it'll be a good time. T-Pain will be at the halftime show. I really look forward to this weekend, and hopefully, if it does rain, stay dry. And Voss, one quick shout out. We hit 100 subscribers on the Ravens Way podcast.
That's it.
Our first season. Come on, give it up.
The big one we got just equally matched to Lamar's rushing yardage.
Yeah. So we're making it. We're we're going. Appreciate everybody who tunes in every week, subscribes. You guys make the thing run. We are very appreciative of you guys. And any last thoughts here, Voss? We got Ader?
No, that's it. Just I hope the Ravens can get it done. We've been analyzing and covering and put our heart into the team and all the different people that work in Ravens, media and blogs and podcasts, and they've been waiting for this moment for a long time. So Lamar is capable. I think the time is now, and put your best foot forward. Stay focused, stay poised, and get the job done. I think they're there. I think it's time. I think they're ready.
Yeah, I agree with you. So with that, we'll go ahead and get out of here. Everybody enjoy your weekend. And hopefully we will see you on a very, very light note next week. So see ya.